G'day Gear Junkies, Jason here. I have here a Behringer Ultra Vibrato which I bought brand new for about 50 Australian dollars. That's about 30 American dollars. And this is based on the legendary and much sought after Boss VB-2. Now the VB-2 here, this is the most expensive pedal that I currently own. And it's worth about 20 times the amount that this is worth. But what I want to find out is this 20 times better than the Behringer. Here's my clean sound. I'm playing my Deluxe Stratocaster through my Fender Deluxe Reverb amplifier. So it's beautiful clean sound, just a little bit of reverb from the amplifier. Now I have the VB-2 Vibrato, which is in the red channel of the JHS switchback, and I have the Ultra Vibrato, which is on the green channel, so it's indicated by the light at the top of the screen, as you can see. So we'll start off with the OG because it came first. Now I've set the modes for both of them to bypass mode. So if you're unfamiliar with this pedal, it's unique in the fact that if you want to actually bypass the circuitry, you actually have to put it into bypass mode. And when you do that, I can't actually turn it on. And that goes for both of them. Okay, I'll explain why later. So we're basically not going to use that mode at all, obviously, because it's not going to show the effect. So I'm going to start off in Latch mode. Both of these pedals have the same controls. The main difference is that the Behringer here has a three-way switch, whereas the Boss one has a three-way rotary switch. Same thing, just the Boss one looks better. Now, the knobs are not in the same order on these two pedals. So the rate, for example, is here on the Boss version, and it's in the middle here on the Behringer one. So with all knobs at noon, here's the Boss. And the Behringer. All knobs at noon, sounds almost exactly the same. So the first tone I'm going to go for here is like a mild tape wobble. So to do this, I'm going to turn the rate all the way down and then just have enough depth so that you can hear it, but it's not taking over my tone. So that's as slow as it can go. All right, let's see what we can do with the Behringer. So rate all the way down, depth about 9 o'clock. They're fairly similar. I'd say that the Behringer's got a little less depth. Yeah, I'd say that the Boss just seems at that same setting to have a bit more depth. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to try a more extreme setting with a faster rate and more depth. That's a sound that was used, I think, in a lot of classic 90s songs. All right, let's see if I can pull off that same sound with the Behringer. Both knobs just a bit past halfway. There's definitely a difference in speed between the two. So the Boss one at the same speed is faster. I'll just try turning the rate all the way up and just seeing if they're the same. Yeah, pretty much. That is so fast you probably would never use it. In fact, I would actually prefer it if these pedals could go slower than their slower speed. So now you'll notice I haven't touched the rise time yet, and that's because in this particular mode it doesn't do anything. That will come into play when we go into unlatched mode. I'm going to turn the depth all the way up on both pedals and see if there's any difference between them. I think you'll agree that sounds pretty much identical. Now let's have a look at unlatched mode. To do this properly, I've had to put the pedal on the floor because I need to be able to control it with my foot. Now, pedals work usually in latch mode, which means you press on the switch, the effect comes on, you turn the switch off, the effect goes off. In this case, the effect is only going to come on while ever I'm holding the switch down. So when I release my foot, the effect is actually going to turn itself off. And this is great for just using it as a momentary effect to add a bit of vibrato to a chord, as I just did there, or for single notes. So it works with either chords or single notes perfectly. It's a really cool little tool. This is quite possibly my favourite use for this pedal. I think it sounds really good. Now the rise time is how quickly that vibrato is going to swell into the effect. So at the moment it's set to halfway. I'm going to turn it all the way down, and when I play it should be immediate. But if I slow the rise time right down, it will fade in rather than just come in straight away. I like using this pedal with a bit of overdrive, so I've got the Boss OD3 after it. So that works very well with the rise time all the way down. Let's check it out with the rise time up. Remember, this is going to slow down the onset of the effect. Yeah, I'd say that's probably even more subtle with the rise time really slowed down. I think that's a really cool effect. Some guitarists would probably consider that cheating because you should be able to do it with your fingers, which I understand. However, it's a more consistent vibrato. It's always going to be at the same speed and same depth each time. So the other thing is that it's going to be very hard to do vibrato at that speed on a whole chord, which is something you can do with this pedal. The Boss VB-2 came out in 1982 and was discontinued in 1986. It is an incredibly rare pedal because not many were made in that time period, partially because, well, they just weren't that popular. Over time, this has become regarded as a classic pedal, and as a result, it's become highly sought after, which has made the value go through the roof. Now, truth be told, I wouldn't even own this one if it wasn't for the fact that I am actually trying to collect all of the Japanese era pedals. So if it wasn't for that, there's no way I would have paid that kind of money for this particular one. One of the things that I didn't explain earlier about this pedal is why it has a dedicated bypass mode. Now, when it's in unlatched mode and you're using it as a momentary effect, for that to take effect straight away, this signal needs to be passing through it at all times, even when it's off. Now, it was considered that having the signal go through it, even when it wasn't being used, would cause some noise. So the idea is that you put it into bypass mode when it's not being used, just to reduce noise. When it comes to vibrato, I don't have a whole lot to compare these two pedals to because I've never really been a huge fan of vibrato as an effect on its own. I do like it sped right up because you get those sort of Leslie sort of tones, and I like that for comping chords and things like that, but I'm not a huge fan of it. That was until I started playing this. It's a very, very musical effect, and I actually really like the sound I got when I turned the rate down to its slower speed and turned the depth down and just got that sort of natural tape warble sound to it, and it just created a little bit of movement and gave my sound a little bit more color. And I found that when you are playing with these kinds of tones, less is more. So play a little bit less to let the effect come through, and it really does shine. If I had one criticism of this pedal, which I know is sacrilegious, it would be that I just don't think it goes slow enough. So with the rate all the way up, I think it's too fast and you can't really use it, but I would like to actually be able to get it to go slower than it can. So that would be the one thing about this that I would change. The Behringer here is very, very close. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it is true. If you don't believe me, you are welcome to go and spend all that money to be able to do this test for yourself. But I can tell you from what I heard and what I played, it was very, very similar. But there were a couple of differences. So for starters, I just felt as though that the VB2 had a little bit more of the effect on tap. It just seemed to have a bit more depth, and it just seemed a little bit more dimensional than the Ultra Vibrato. Also, when I turned this on, I felt like there was a bit of an artifact in my tone. It was like a bit of extra presence. Now, I don't know if that was purposely put in there or if I'm hearing things, but to my ear, it did sound like it changed my tone very slightly. But these are really, really small nitpicky things if I had to pick between these two. So they are quite similar. Now, for the home player, or even if you play live, this is going to last a long time because it's not the sort of effect you'd use all the time. So if you are on a budget or you don't want to shell out all the money that it costs to buy either this or its cousin, the VB2W, then this is a good option. And the way that I view a lot of these cheaper effects, particularly the good ones like this one, is that they act as sort of gateway drugs. I've bought many a cheap pedal that is based on a classic pedal, and then that's perked my interest in that particular model, and I've gone out and bought it anyway. So I think that this does a very, very good job, and you could do a hell of a lot worse. I liked how this pedal had unlatched mode. That's something very interesting about this pedal because I do not believe, and I can't think of any other pedals that had an unlatched mode prior to the VB2. It could very well be the very first pedal to have an integrated foot switch. So if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. And that's probably my favorite use of this pedal. I really like it for adding vibrato to notes and particularly chords because that's very hard to do just with your fingers. For my drive tones near the end of the video, I was using the OD3. This was off camera. This is a highly underrated overdrive and they're really cheap on the secondhand market. I would encourage you to buy one of these and check it out. If you're familiar with Michael Banfield's channel, he gets some amazing tones out of this pedal. And he basically inspired me to revisit this pedal and I'm very glad that I did. If you have any opinions on this shootout, please leave a comment below. I'd be really interested to hear what you've got to say. Also, if you like this kind of format, I have other cheap versus expensive videos in my cheap versus expensive playlist that you can check out. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you want to support this channel, you can go to the Middle Age Gear Junkie store and buy some merchandise. I've left links in the description below. And I've also left a link to the Middle Age Gear Junkie Facebook page. We'd love to have you on board. Other than that, my name is Jason. Have a great day. See you later.